Hi, welcome to this chapter. In my opinion, the positions that we'll be discussing now, namely the variation of the Queen's Indian defense with the move pawn to g3, is one of the most important chapters in this entire course. I wanted to say the most important one, but I realized, okay, we have a few other critical attempts as well. But really, the reason why this chapter is so important is because not only this is one of the main white continuations as uh, a way to deal with the Queen's Indian, but also because this is something highly transpositional. For example, you can get to this variation, or to let's say the position after this moves, via such move orders as, let's say, one knight to f3 and then g3, bishop g2, and later c4 and d4. Or you can get here by means of, let's say, one c4, and later white will play knight f3 and then g3, bishop g2, later d4. Or you can get here via, for example, d4, and then white can play knight f3, g3, and later c4, or white can play c4 right now. So there are really countless ways how white can try to end up in this tabia, and you really need to be well versed in this position. And I think that in general, the ideas we are about to discuss are the core of the Queen's Indian defense. So if you like this position, you'll do well in the entire Queen's Indian. It's my firm belief. And if you don't, no, you don't have to give up on the openings, then we will just study them a little more carefully. You'll watch this again and you'll like them for sure. I am totally confident about that. So after this moves, again, as a reminder, e6 is a completely normal move order as well, g3 and then bishop b7. But we're looking at the bishop b7 move order. There's really not a big difference. g3 and now e6, bishop g2, bishop e7, castling, castling. And here, let us stop for a second. So at this point, the main move is knight to c3, something we're going to be discussing in depth in a second. But also, a core part of this position is the very trendy and a very interesting gambit, the move pawn to d5. This is something that Lev Polugaevsky, a famous Russian, Soviet grandmaster, and an absolutely fantastic analyst had introduced back in the day. I believe he used it in his match with Korchnoi for the first time, if I'm not mistaken. And this is importantly something that AlphaZero had used with a great success in its matches with Stockfish back in the day when it made a lot of fuss in mass media. So this is a move that many modern players, from club level players to the top grandmasters, have been looking into very, very carefully, and we will as well. This is, in my opinion, a position where black is not experiencing problems, but he has to really understand what he is doing, because this is one of the exceptions where the game is becoming truly forcing. So we'll look into this. And then another idea we need to investigate is the very subtle move rook to e1. We'll return to this as we'll be discussing the move knight to c3. But basically the idea is that after knight c3, black has a move knight e4, intending to swap those knights. And with the move rook e1, white is just making a useful move, making sure black can't play knight e4 yet. And we'll return to this, but I just wanted to give you a bit of a heads up what this is all about. So knight c3 is something we'll begin with. Now knight to e4. And this is the safest reply for black, the most classical move, and I think it's the most natural one. What is the idea? Well, at this point, white is trying to take control over the center. He might want to play d5 later and kill our bishop completely, entirely. He might also want to play something like queen to d3, or let's say queen to c2, and later push e4. Again, grabbing space and getting a fantastic pawn center. We don't want that to happen. So we really need to stop these ideas, and the way to stop them, of course, is the move knight to e4. Stopping e4, maybe preparing f5, and of course intending to take on c3 and spoil the white pawn structure. Now, white has many ways to continue. The super trendy move at the highest level, and something we'll look at as well in the model games chapter, is the move bishop d2 here, which I have faced recently myself in a very important tournament game, and I'll be showing you this game in the model games chapter. And we'll look into this right now as well, of course, but I would like us to start with the move knight takes on e4. This is a very unambitious move for white, in my opinion, something you might want to use in order to simplify the position and make the drawish outcome more likely. But the thing is that after bishop e4, we still keep the pieces on the board, and in fact, white helped black a lot, because the square on e4 is truly a key square in this position, because from this one, black stops e4, black controls this diagonal, let's say the c2 and d3 squares, and of course black is controlling the entire long diagonal too. So in my opinion, taking on e4 is a clear concession. Well, white is white for a reason. He is not worse yet. He can afford to play unambitiously and not be worse. But really, this line is just being used to make draws with stronger players. So now, white normally continues knight to e1, or knight h4, and this is the same thing. We'll just transpose after bishop takes and then knight takes. So knight e1, and here black just takes on g2. Now knight g2, and at this point we have a choice. I think we want to be playing in the most sound way possible, so I'm recommending the move d5. This is the main move by far.